A big hello and a warm welcome to all of you amazing and beautiful people out there to my channel, the Twin Flame Union. And in this channeling session, I would be talking about inner work. Because a lot of people have some doubts and they have some thoughts about inner work. Thoughts as in, what am I going to get in return? How is it going to work out for me? And this applies to even those people who are doing inner work on their own. It's not necessary that all of the people can afford therapy. In fact, in this journey, a lot of divine feminines, I have noticed this, when they are in the initial stages of this journey, till they have not surrendered, or even between, you can say, runner-chaser dynamic, they have certain financial issues. Not all of them, but it has been noticed because the base chakra or the root chakra is not aligned properly and there is blockages in that. And they have been raised in an environment, and as a child they were raised in such a way that the money consciousness or the abundance consciousness was not healed. It was unhealed, it was wounded. So they struggle with those things as well. And that's why maybe it is universe's way of showing it to them that you have to be abundant, you need to become a woman who can get whatever she wants, be it reading a book, be it getting a therapy, be it going to the spa, be it doing anything, be it feeding hungry people. And a lot of you all have very humanitarian thoughts. But how can you help other people when you yourself are not in a place to help yourself? If you are not abundant, if you are not financially free, it's not possible to help others. By the time you reach to that level, you'll also understand that not everything is done with money. But that confidence should be there in you that you can pull things off. Like I know personally a lot of my street animals, they get food from other places also. You know, some people come and feed them, somebody gives them biscuits or somebody gives them some leftover meals or some chicken bones or something like that. On certain days, I have noticed many times they don't even eat the food. Even if I offer them the best food, best quality food, they don't eat it until and unless I don't pat them, I don't sit with them for 5 minutes, I don't give them a hug. When I do all of those loving things, those affectionate things, sometimes they will get up after 5 minutes and 10 minutes of playing and then they will eat the food. In many cases, if I have not reached there on time and I have sent someone else, they will still come to my house or they will stand under my street looking for me, waiting for me as to where I am and how come I have not visited them on that day. So it makes you realize, it made me realize that they don't need the food, they don't need the things, they don't need that material object, but they need affection most importantly. Now, you all divine feminines would understand, because the inner work is majorly for the divine feminines, that how much affection, love, understanding and presence matters to you, because so many of you have had toxic families, toxic mothers, narcissistic mothers, stepmothers, or fathers who were never present, or siblings you never had a real bond with, or other family relationships or friendships where you were forced to feel that, I have not asked anything from them. I have not asked them to give me money. I have not asked them to give me things. All I have asked from them is give me some love, give me some emotional support. And the reason why you are so needy is also because you have all of those traumas and wounds of abandonment. So because of this, today I have decided to do this particular session so that all of you understand and you're on the same page when it comes to what is this inner work all about. Is it only about finding faults in other people? Is it only about thinking that they are wrong? Everybody else is wrong and I am the Miss Perfect. I am the, most correct person here. Is it always about, with your divine masculine, discussing things like, he did this to me, he did that to me, he is the wrong person, he is the culprit? Or is it also about thinking that why is the same person much nicer, much more affectionate to another person, but why not me? In some cases, you have to figure out that are those people who you want to change in your life, do you even need them in your life? Are they even important? Or certain behavioral aspects of them that you expect in a certain way, is it even required? Do you need that? Because there is a big difference in being needy and being content. If you're going to be needy for maybe love, for attention, for affection, it will never work out. The same thing happens when a lot of my divine feminine started changing. When they changed and they healed the narcissistic mother template or the dominating mother template or the toxic mother template, the mother's behavior towards them changed. Same for divine masculine, same for the father figure, same for any other thing, like friendships or anything. Why they changed? Why they changed? Because you're looking, you're trying very hard for so many years, you're trying to mend those relationships. It's not working out. You've done everything, it's not working out. But suddenly after inner work, after therapy, things start to change. Why? That's because you are also changing from within. This journey is not about trying to change other people. This journey is about trying to change you. What is that there is missing in me? What do I lack? Why my life is like this? These are the questions you need to ask. In many cases, it has happened that the divine masculine is involved with another person, a karmic or a false twin. When it came to you, they were running away. They were not, giving you that affection or attention that you really required, really needed. But they were running away, or they were not showing it properly. They had so many fears when it came to you. And the reason why divine feminine start doing inner work is not because he was nice to her. It's because he wasn't nice to her, but he was nice to someone else. Someone else could get those presents. Someone else could get those vacations. Someone else could get those commitments. Someone else could get all the loving messages, love notes and whatnot. And when you make that comparison, which you should not, but it's human, right? And you make that comparison with the karmic or with the false twin, you see that I'm definitely better because you can see, you guys are psychics, you have psychic abilities, you have clairvoyant abilities, you have telepathic abilities. So in some cases, the people that others cannot read properly, you can read them very well. So when you read her energy, when you do all the stalking and all the finding out, you read her energy, you realize that no, she is not genuine. She doesn't love him. She doesn't love him at all. But I do. But how come he cannot see my love, but he can see her love? Again, this is not to make comparisons and this is not to encourage you to do stalking. Keep the stalking to zero, not even to minimum, to zero. And I'll tell you, the things that I do in my therapies, the things that I say, they might sound a bit, how will I do this? But if you're not going to do it, how will your life change? Then continue to live the way you're living. If I tell one of my students, do not stalk your DM, or in some cases who are in advanced stages, I tell them, do not think about them. If you're going to keep thinking about them, they will run away from you because of opposite polarity. So they tell me, those who really do the work, they come up to me and they tell me, okay, I tried to do it, but these are the difficulties that were presented to me. But those who don't do it, they will never come up with those difficulties. They will just keep nodding, yes, I did it. But I don't feel good. I don't feel calm. I don't feel content. My finances are still in bad shape. My relationship is still in bad phase. I'm still struggling. So they don't need to tell me why they're struggling. I already know because I've been doing this work for 11 years and more. And actively I started taking coaching when I was like, okay, now it's the time, because I have seen so many cases, so many people. Sometimes it's really predictable And even my reaction or my response, I would like to say, is predictable, because that is the same type of response that I would be giving to the same type of people, because that is what they need. Now, another very important thing that one needs to understand when you're doing inner work. Now, I have come across cases which are borderline, you can say bipolar, or borderline split personality. And it's nothing wrong in that. A lot of you could have those borderline split personalities. You have to understand why you have that split personality. Split personality or bipolar has become a part of this world because of the way people have raised their children. So you have to keep one face for the society, for the world, and then there is one face that you keep for yourself. What you keep for yourself, that is your real truth. That is the place where you know when you're sad, when you're upset, when you're crying, when you're weeping inside. Then you are lonely. Then you cannot approach anyone. You don't know who to talk to, what to do. And then there is another side, which is the strong side, which you have to show to the world. That I'm a strong person, that I can do this or I can do that. And there is a conflict in both those personalities. What you have for your personal self and what you have for the world, there is a conflict in that. Because you don't know what to show to the world and you don't know what to keep to yourself. And that is because there is no inner work. There is no process of inner work that is being taught to children at a young age when they really need it. Children should be taught, the first thing that the child should be taught is to become independent. Practically independent, to love nature. That's why I tell people, when the child is very young, give them an animal to take care for. Take them to shelter homes. Why only keep the pet also? Because keeping the pet is also like, okay, I'm just taking care of this one pet. Go to shelter homes. Show the child how they can volunteer for other beings. Or wherever there is need. Or maybe go to those centers where, people are preparing food for others, for homeless people, or, where they give those, those donation camps. Show your child how to share and give. That is number one. Then give your child focused attention. Focused attention as in you give them and you teach them also. And obviously for that you need a good teacher, you need a good coach who can teach them focused attention, because focused attention, children can catch up even faster than adults because they have less trauma by that time. And if they've already received trauma, if they've already gotten abused but you don't know about it, the child will cope up better if it has received the coaching on focused attention. We have so many schools, so many colleges, so many institutes, but not even one teaches how to live in sync with nature in a practical way, teaches children how to do focused attention, and these two are the most important things a human should know. But there is no coaching of that, there is no training of that. So when the child grows up into an adult, there are so many wounds, there are so many traumas, no one has even worked on that. The child is like alone, all by itself, struggling. And they don't like their own company, so they look for other people. And they look for those people who are around the same frequency, which may not be good for them. But can you then tell them to do this and do that? No. Because they always look at the adults. And you have done the same. If you don't have children, if you are single right now, or if you are unmarried, then what have you done most of your life? You have been looking up to the adults. And those adults are already wounded. They are not healed themselves. So that confuses the child who has grown up now into an adult, and that's why the personality gets split. There is no cure for these diseases or disorders in the medical world. Max to max what they can do is they can give you some pills that will calm your mind down, that will stop you from connecting to your brain for a while, for a few hours. So when people get a panic attack, they take a pill and they feel better for some time, because what is that panic attack giving them? They are giving them many thoughts, and they have no control over the thoughts. Focused attention is about learning how to control your thoughts, manage your thoughts better. In many cases, there are certain thoughts that are not good for you. You don't need those thoughts. So you learn to ignore them. In some cases, there are many productive thoughts. So you learn to accept them. And then as you go further, you realize that it's better to be thoughtless, not pay attention to any thought whatsoever. Because that is how you practice. When you practice, you learn that good and bad thoughts are actually interconnected with each other. Good thoughts always come with attachment emotions, and bad thoughts come with aversion, basically, dvesh. So there are three types of thoughts that you need to work on. One is craving, which is dvesh. Craving is rag. Aversion is dvesh. So it is rag, dvesh, and asakti. Asakti is attachment. So these are the three basic pillars of mental work. You may get so many thoughts in a day, but the base of all thoughts eventually boils down to craving, aversion, attachment. There are days when with your divine masculine you are getting the thoughts of craving, rag. You want something. You want him to call you. You want him to message you. You want him to contact you. You want him to be nice to you. You want him to love you. You want him to show affection to you. You want him to give you commitment. I want. Then you will get thoughts of dvesh, aversion, where you hate him, you dislike him. You remember all the bad things he's done to you. And you think in your mind, you're thinking like you're abusing him, accusing him. You're imagining in your head you're having fights with him. How you did this to me? I don't want him. I don't need him. He was so rude to me. He was so mean to me. He left me. He cheated on me. He lied to me. He did this. He did that. I cannot stand him. When he comes to me, I will say all these things to him. I might even punch him. I might just run away from him. You have all those thoughts because you get so angry with the way he has behaved with you. Those are all thoughts of aversion, thoughts of dvesh. Okay? These are the words basically that we have in Hindi language, or you can say even in Pali language they were used. In time of Buddha they were used. So Buddha and all masters, because I have been reading a lot of masters' work, all of them, even in modern times, they use these words. So Buddha had also used these three words. Rag, dvesh, asakti. My own guru, because I have three gurus basically, and all of them are not in the physical plane right now, but they all connect with me from time to time, and their connection was what actually made me realize that there is something more than what we see from the human eyes, because I kept meeting them even after they have passed over. So even they have mentioned these same words, rag, dvesh, asakti, rag, dvesh, asakti, craving, aversion, attachment, craving, aversion, attachment. And these are the three things that all of you divine feminine, you need to work on these things. Whether you find a technique, whether you find a therapy, whether you do your own inner work, whatever you can do, you need to work on these things. And I will tell you what happens when you get into the inner work mode, what all can happen and what all can go wrong and what all can go right. I will continue this in the next part of the same series. One love and peace out.